Hello, friend, and welcome. If this is your first time to the collective, I'm so excited to meet you. And if you're returning again, I'm really happy to see you again. Right now, what we're going to focus on is what blocks, mental barriers are keeping us stuck in the space that we're in. What is keeping us in the space where we feel like we can't move forward? As always, I am solution oriented, but first, before we can find the solution, it helps for us to get to, the underlying thing that's the problem. And you're probably gonna be like, Kirsten, I know what the problem is. Well, it's not that your current situation isn't the problem, it's that there might be more than what's on the mind, like just on the surface. So let's figure out what that is. Fulfillment, striking gold in every experience. So this is telling me that you were just coming from a place where everything was working out well, where everything was just falling into place, and it was exactly as it says, striking gold in every experience. When you leave that spot and you're no longer in that, you feel like you're failing, you feel like something's going wrong or that you're not doing right, when that's not necessarily the experience. There's times of ease and then there's times of hardship. And it's not that we have to suffer, but the natural flow of life is ebb and flow. Just like the tide goes in and out, just like we have, spring, summer, fall, and winter, you need to have change in order to make growth. So don't think just because, things aren't falling into place as easily as they used to be, that you're necessarily doing something wrong. Instead, allow yourself to see, okay, what can I learn from this? In this way of influence, create with your authentic self. Okay, so this is kind of like what I was talking about, where it's about, you're in a growth period. Be your authentic self and see what is coming from you or what you might be in resistance about that is keeping you from finding that flow that you've been a part of for so long. In the sway of influence, a lot of times it's allowing yourself that other people are swaying you, that other people's voices or expectations are holding you back or shaping the way you're working. Need to remember to be authentic to who you are, to your voice, and to yourself. Don't allow other people's expectations or standards shape your life when that's not who you're meant to be. They might have great, hopes for you, and they might mean it in the best possible way. They might be coming at you in a very loving way with that information, but if it's not who you are, they don't get to shape you. With a wounded child, healing trauma makes the world feel safer. This one's huge because the wounded child is the one that is always the most neglected. And it's the one that, kind of drives a lot of our resistances, a lot of the things that happen in our life, a lot of the repeated patterns. If you find yourself over and over again with, toxic relationships or with toxic partners or in a toxic job environment, if there is something in your life that keeps repeating over and over again, it's because of this wounded child. There is something that has happened in your past that you have not had the chance to heal or work through. And you're like, well, Kirsten, yeah, it happened to me when I was a child. And I get that. I was an abused child. And I still had to work through my own trauma and my own healing by going to myself in that time, either through meditation, letters, or whatever, to tell myself it's okay. I'm safe. We no longer have to live constantly in fear. So this wounded child is still a part of you and needs to hear you in some way say, hey, that's no longer the circumstance. That's no longer the case. Again, whether it be through a letter that you write to yourself, whether it be through meditation, whether it just be you allowing yourself to talk it out with a friend and have them hear, say what it is that you wanted to hear, then something needs to happen for that child. And then we have desire, realizing new pathways of becoming. So desire is one of those amazing things that come to us, and it gives us excitement and it gives us reason to do things. And then all of a sudden, again, people's voices start coming in and it feels like, oh my goodness, well, what if I can't do it? Is my desire even right? Should I be doing the thing that I want to be doing? Allow yourself to lean into that desire. Give yourself the chance to build those new pathways of becoming, to be someone different, to try out new things. Because stagnation isn't healthy. Stagnation is not a natural thing that causes anything other than disease and death. So allow yourself to, become something different, become something more, and see where your hopes and dreams lead you. See where those desires lead you. And, just because no one else has done it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. The world is constantly changing. There are jobs now that would have been unheard of even 15 years ago. Being a content creator, is not something that when I grew up was even a thing to be. I know there's people who get paid to build sandcastles. Like, that is their daily job. They go out to the beach and they build sandcastles. Like, who would have thought that that's an actual job and a way to make money? So I'm not saying you have to go through some drastic, career change, but what I'm just saying is, just because other people aren't doing it doesn't mean it's not still a path worth exploring. All right. Now I want to get to the tarot cards, because I understand that right now, you're going through a shift, through a change, because, we have that things were going great, and now all of a sudden, you're just what is going on? There's, this, almost like the brakes got hit, or, you found an obstacle, or, a pothole, and it's you want to pivot, you want to shift, but you just don't know if you can. So I want to ask the cards, what exactly is keeping us from trusting our inner desire? What is keeping us from being authentic to ourselves that has us so locked into this place where it's nope, can't do that, because that's just not who we are all of a sudden. I also want to point out that as I'm shuffling these cards, they are being very particular. And I feel whenever the cards are being particular, it's because we ourselves are expecting things to be done in an ABC fashion. And life doesn't always work that way. So maybe ask yourself, are you being too rigid? Are you being too controlling? Are you wanting things to be done in a way that isn't meant for things to be done? Nature has its own way of doing things. It doesn't have to make sense for us. We just have to trust the process. So the Four of Coins in its reverse position. That's literally what I just said before I flipped this card over, is that we're trying to control the circumstances. We're trying to force things to be done our way. If you needed any more confirmation that that's what you were doing, here it is. The Four of Coins, look at this guy. He is just holding onto those coins so tightly, his resources, his energy, and it's going to be his way or the highway. And he doesn't care if, him holding onto these 4 coins is going to stunt his growth. And I want to remind you that coins is not just about finances. It's about time and energy, because you spend time and you spend energy. So what of your energy or of your time are you hoarding so much that you absolutely refuse to allow growth into your life? And then we have the 7 of Wands. Okay, so yes, you are having to defend yourself. You are having to stick up to yourself. But here's the thing about the 7 of Wands. A, you have the high ground. And B, the only way to get the other people to shut up is to start doing the thing. Wands is that fire suit, and it's all about actions. And if you just keep talking, these wands aren't going to go away. But if you start doing, well, guess what? These wands are going to go away real quick. So this is about you tuning out those voices, not letting this influence of others sway you, and allowing yourself to realize those new pathways and become who you are, and trust that there's a reason that, things aren't necessarily falling easy anymore, and that you're finding that this pivot needs to happen. All right, so another completion card. We have the 10 of Wands in its reverse position. This tells me that you are on the verge of things changing, of completion. So when I get the 10 of Wands, it's that you're literally carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, and everything has to be done by you. Here's the thing. It doesn't all have to be done by you anymore. When the 10 of Wands is reversed, you need to delegate. You need to put things down. You need to reprioritize. You need to see what absolutely has to be done today, and what can be done tomorrow, and what maybe can be waited until next week. Things need to change. There needs to be a shift, but it's in how you act and what you do that matters, not just how you say, think, or feel. Then we get the 7 of Coins in its reverse position. 7 of Coins is always about a return on your investment kind of deal. It's about you, planting the seeds. It's about you tending to your garden, and it's about you sowing and harvesting, what is there. And when you get the 7 of Coins in its reverse position, it's one of those things where it's you still have a harvest. It's just a lot smaller than what you were hoping for. And whenever I see this card, I ask why. Why is the harvest smaller? Is it because of things that are completely outside of your control? Is there a drought? Because you can't control the weather. Was it something, about like, the wildlife and the animals? You can't really control that either. You can only do so much to prevent that. Or is it something that was within your ability? Did you let the weeds overrun your garden? Did you not water your garden at all and just expect that everything was going to be okay on its own? When you get the Seven of Coins in its reverse position, you need to remember that yes, things are going to come to fruition, things are going to happen, but you need to look to see if it was something that you had control over, or if it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, you know what, this was not the best year, and that's okay. Allow things to be as they are. The Four of Swords in its reverse position. We have a lot of resistance going on, so a lot of this is on you. I just want to point that out. But with the Four of Swords in its reverse position, now is not the time to rest anymore. Resting is over. So when it's in its upright position, it's asked you to actively rest and relax. But now is the time to act, the time to do. It's time to integrate yourself back into whatever it is that you're trying to create. And it could be too that you're like, I've been doing stuff, I've not been relaxing, I've been staying active. Hear me out. Are you being relaxed in your everyday routine? Are you just taking that, what you're going through now is what needs to be and finding a comfort zone in there? Or are you, saying, okay, what can I do different? What can I pivot? Because the Four of Swords, it's that mental ability. This is your thoughts. This is your mind. This is your intellect. So right now, it seems like you need to do something and allow yourself to pivot in a way where instead of just being comfortable, you're like, okay, what is it that I need to change up? What is it that I can do differently? And then we have the Knight of Coins. So knights like to move, they like to go, they like to do, but this is the only knight that completely understands that everything has a reason, season, and a place. This knight does not like to be rushed. It is earth energy, and earth energy completely understands that spring has its reason, summer has its reason, so does fall, and so does winter, and if you decide to shorten or lengthen any of those points, things can go wrong. This knight wants to move at a pace that makes sense. So this is that reminder that you can't rush the process. You have to start somewhere. Maybe it's starting in spring by planting the seeds and seeing where they go, by following that new desire, and allowing summer, fall, and winter to happen in their own way. Don't rush it. Don't just expect things to happen overnight. Now I want to ask the cards about what it is, this change that we need to do. How can we start making this change? How can we start following our true path? How can we start trusting our voice and doing what's needed to do the change? Literally, there's something in us that needs to change. And let's get more information about that. So the card that flipped itself over, and I'm going to talk about first, is Wandering Between Realms, Straddling Worlds. So this is telling me, again, that you're in an in-between phase. You're in a growth phase. You are in a place where, who you are now is uncomfortable. Who you are now is not who you want to be anymore. But at the same time, you're not the new version of you yet. And you have a lot to work out. You have a lot to figure out. So move forward and understand that this is just part of the process. Then we have Cosmic Womb, the Divine Feminine. So this is that reminder that sometimes you just need to allow things to happen, to go with the flow. It's not about you being in control. It's 100% about you just trusting whatever happens, whether it makes logical sense or not. And the thing is, and I think I even said this too, nature does not follow any type of logical structure. It's chaos and it has its own rules. And you need to allow yourself to be open to be receiving, allow yourself to receive things as they come to you, not as you demand them to be or as you hope for them to be. And then we have Unmarked Trail, Revelation. So once again, this is you doing something different. This is you doing something that's not being done. And that's okay. You can do things that other people aren't doing. That is where you become the trailblazer. That's where you become the inspiration. That's where you become the first person to do the thing. Go against the grain. Do your thing. Realize that what you're doing is going to be, changing your life and those around you, but allowing people to see you for who you truly are and for the things that you truly want to do. And then we have Garden of Venus, Rest and Renewal. So this isn't the type of rest that I'm trying to have you like pull yourself out of here. This is this reminder that you still have to do the mundane, that you still have to take care of yourself. You still have to make sure that you're showering, eating, doing your laundry. Rest and renewal isn't necessarily the card of like ultimate relaxation. It's the card of you, relaxing in the moment when you need to, taking care of yourself, renewing your energy, and then going back. There's a bunch of wisteria and lavender in this card, which I love because, when I think of lavender, I think of the fact that, like, I just want to be, like, when I, like, light a candle, okay? It's one of those things where, like, I want to smell it for a little bit, but, like, I don't want it to be, my 24/7 scent. So this is, like, the same thing where it's like, yes, you're going to put yourself amongst the flowers, you're going to put yourself amongst the garden, but you're not meant to stay there. You're only meant to sit there for a little bit. Now I want to ask the cards to just give us some advice to help us encourage us to be the authentic self, to, trust the fact that, yeah, okay, the thing that we want to do that's different than what everyone else is doing is actually the right thing for us to do. And help us learn, like, understand what we have to do to silence those voices that are trying to keep us the way we are instead of who it is that we're meant to grow to be. Stop looking outside yourself for the answers. You already know them. All right, literally. If you needed any more sign or like understanding or confirmation that you don't need to listen to others and that you just need to give into yourself, that you need to trust yourself, there it is. I don't know how much more clear this reading can be about that. Stop caring about what they think. This is your life to live. This is your life to love and live. Okay, again, like the cards are being redundant. And I don't know how we can get more clear about this one message. Check in with your body and release any tension you are carrying. All right, so this one's actually helpful. This one is one of those things where it's like when you're in that uncomfortable moment, when you're in that growth moment, when you're like feeling that resistance, check in real quick. Be like, hey, what's going on? Why are we, feeling tight in our stomach? Or why are we having a headache? Or why are we feeling like we can't sit still? Ask yourself what you're carrying, because that's your wounded child trying to be like, hey, something about this didn't work out when we were kids and we really need to know what we're doing moving forward. Maybe the fact that you can't sit still right now is because the thing that you were working on you got in trouble for by your mom and dad and you just don't want to repeat that experience again. Or maybe the reason why you have that queasy stomach feeling is because last time that you did this, which would have been 3 decades ago when you were a child, you felt like, oh God, like I wasn't good enough and mom and dad got mad at me because I wasted paint or I wasted, materials and resources. Well, you were a child and you were just being a child. And yes, they had their response, but doesn't mean that the response is, still true today. So check in with your body and release any tension that you are carrying. And if you're uncertain on how to connect with that wounded child or how to check in with your body, or if you want more confirmation about, just doing something different, hit us up in the comments below. There is a community here. We love to support each other. I will support you. And if you want a private reading that's going to help you to understand about what this new desire is, or maybe give you more direction about other than just trusting yourself on how to move forward, there is a link in the description below for private readings. I do still have a few open time slots, so feel free to hit me up in those. And I just want to say I love you so much, and I'm really excited to see what you're about to create. I can't wait for you to come back in later videos and be like, oh my God, this was the thing that I created, because this is what you're meant to do. What you're meant to do is be yourself 100%. And I just want to remind you that you're not walking this path alone. This path of authenticity is something that we're all walking together as a collective, and you are now part of this collective. So I wish you the best of luck, and I cannot wait to see you again soon. I hope you have a great day. I love you. Bye-bye.